Welcome to yet another special edition of Influencers Table on your number one station, RX Radio. Hi, I'm Fat Boy, your host, and Influencers Table is brought to you by Pulse Uganda and RX Radio, and it's all about talking to the movers and shakers on social media, the people we call influencers, the people who start the conversations, the people who participate in changing perceptions and in selling ideas and doing all kinds of other interesting things. Some influencers, are a little bit naughty and post some cheeky things too. That's all nice. But they have proven to be a very powerful force for shaping narratives, which is why you've got lots of companies now engaging influencers as part of their marketing campaigns. So I'm very happy that you could join us here today. And what I normally like to do on Influencers Table is to have our guest influencers introduce themselves and talk to us about what it is that they do. So without further ado, let's start this conversation with today's influencer. Welcome to the Fat Boy Show.
Thank you, man.
So introduce yourself for the people listening and watching. Tell us who you are and what you do as an influencer.
Okay, so I'm called Musinguzi. I'm a full-time social media influencer.
Full-time?
Full-time.
So you don't do it part-time, you do it full-time?
Nah, full-time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been influencing for, I think, close to 10 years.
10
now.
years?
Yeah. So apart from the video that is coming in right now, I'm mostly I was initially into more of writing and then a little bit of blogging and then, but mostly into using the social media platforms themselves to like put out my content and market different brands and companies. Yeah, so I've worked, I think, with like 99% of like all brands, I think, the serious brands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you say full-time influencing, is it something that you gradually grew into, or did you just wake up one day, quit your 9 to 5 and said, today I'm going to be an influencer, and then you threw yourself into it and started doing your thing?
No. Actually, I studied journalism and communication at my career. Then I studied mobile journalism from DW Academy. So I'm actually professionally trained to do what I'm doing today. So
wow.
I didn't just jump in, and even initially when I was studying, still this is what I wanted to do.
So given your training in influencing, tell us what it is that you actually do. What are the tools you bring into what you are doing, and how effective are you as an influencer?
So in most cases, when we talk about tools, it's mostly analytics and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm a big lover of numbers to see what the return on investment is for the client. Let's say if what value are you as an influencer going to give to the client? You get me? So that is the part which I know really most of the times I'm interested in. So you find me doing a lot of reports. You find me doing a lot of checking out analytics, checking the data, seeing how things are changing.
Wow, it's very technical.
Data. Yes. So in addition to the content itself, content creation, I really find I find most of my comfort in the numbers. Trying to see what is working so that you lay out a good strategy for a client and then things move as they expected.
So let's talk about numbers. It seems to be a very important component of influencing. Many companies, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they tend to be interested in engaging people they believe to have a large following, which is why you will see them typically work with celebrities, people who are already famous, stars, musicians, actors, this sort of thing, or people who seem to command a huge audience, and these are the people that tend to do the influencing. So when you say numbers, is that the critical thing? And are these companies right to focus their attention on people who they think have the larger following? Is that the magic here?
Very many people always want to dismiss the fact that numbers don't matter when it comes to influencing. But to be honest, the numbers matter significantly, though they are not the ultimate thing. Let me say, if there are very many opinion leaders, very many intelligent people in the specific sector, let me say if it's oil and gas, that you specifically want to talk about, that don't really have the numbers, but can have the knowledge. So usually, I would advise that if there's any company, for example, in the oil and gas or energy, that is looking at getting someone that is in there, they would probably get that opinion leader and then add them on, plus the influencer, so that their whatever their message is, let me say it's climate change, whether it's going balancing climate change with the environment, so that knowledge is well articulated online, because social media has a lot of speculation, a lot of fake news, a lot of wrong things going on. People making things for fun, even things that are serious. So, or in addition to the person that does not have the numbers, you really want to get a person with the numbers, so that you reach what I talked about, your return on the investment. Otherwise, it's like selling your ad, putting your ad in a newspaper that is going to stop on the manager's desk.
So how do you measure that, or how do you compute the return on the investment? I'm guessing that the clients have their way of looking at it and their criteria, and perhaps you have your own criteria that you suggest to them. Is it an issue of how many impressions, let's say, a tweet gets if you decide to talk about a subject or a service or product that you are hired to influence for? Or is it, do they measure the end result, which is, if, let's say, the idea is to have you influence to market a product that it will result in sales, increased sales. Is that the metric by which we measure return on investment for influencing?
Okay, so there's definitely different types of things to influence for, apart from the product itself getting sold, or selling tickets, or let me say selling products to sell out. So there's also behavior change. For example, if you want people to start using condoms, for instance, so that has nothing to do with sales. So you have to get a different way of measuring that. So you just have to see how over the period, and that type of marketing and social media influencing usually requires a longer time. So it's not for bumping in that, okay, tomorrow we have a show and it sells out, then you say, oh, my guys did well. No. There you have to take a lot of time to study how the behavior of the people is changing in regards to whatever your social media people are selling out. But to make it more strategic, it's always important that you also look at the demographics. You look at the age of people. For example, if it's you're looking at condoms and HIV, you have to look at the target group that you think does not have that knowledge. For example, the people in primary, up to primary school, and then up to like secondary. So you go through all of those schools and always gradually try to evaluate whether these people have picked up the knowledge.
How do you do that? How do you evaluate?
Yes. So, for example, you can always go and get what is it called, like a form, and of where people can write what they now know, judging from how they started and how you after you sharing your knowledge, how have they been changing. So they can always fill out forms, and you try to find out how much they've known, for example, about their sexuality, their reproductive health system, let me say using pads, using condoms, stuff like that. Then alternatively, you can also find out on their behaviors themselves. For example, if it's, let me say, teenage pregnancies, that's not something that is very hard to put data on. Most of the schools, in fact, chase children away from school that get pregnant. So what have been the demographics, let me say, from 2017 to 2019, when you are imparting these children with this knowledge, even if it's, let me say, the Bible or something like that, how have the people been changing over time? How many let me say crimes have you seen of such a sort since you started selling out this knowledge? But in terms of the product, let me say selling tickets and whatnot, you always judge by the feedback that is coming out from the people online. Are they satisfied with what they got from, let me say, a show? How many of those tickets? Right now, it's very easy because you can even see if it's, let me say, music. You can see the downloads. You can, if it's a product, you can always see the number of sales.
Okay, so let's try and put it in practical terms. So let's say I am an artist. Okay, let's say I'm a musician and I want to release a single, and I'm worried that I'm going to have low reception, so I will engage an influencer such as yourself. How would you assist me, an upcoming artist who's coming up with a new single? In what way would you positively impact the downloads of my music, or if it's a YouTube video, how many views it gets? Like, how can you give me an example of what you would do as an influencer to benefit me as the artist if I came to you?
Yeah. So as an artist, there's loads of things that you could do, including going on ground, including leaving the social media platforms. So among the many that you would do is, for example, having some activations and letting those activations get known on the social media platforms that, let me say, you're here. Then the other thing is for the, if let me say you have a show, let me say most of these guys who have shows going on and stuff, you can always collaborate with the influencers. And then, let me say, most of them have podcasts. By the way, you can chat about your upcoming show, and then many of their listeners will get tuned in. Nowadays, there are spaces. A person with a very big following can host you on Instagram Live, on Twitter Spaces, and then you get to talk about whatever you have, because it's very hard also for you as an artist, big as you are with all of your numbers, to really make, let me say, someone's audience, sway them to buy something or go to a show, especially in a genre that they don't normally like, and you believe that maybe this influencer has that audience that you really want to tap into. So that's the collaborative effort that would definitely mean a lot to you as an artist when it comes to the profits.